Okay, I pressed unmute. I hope it's working. Okay. Yeah, I think now I see a microphone. That's good. Want to take a look? That's good. Very good. Okay. Oh, I'm already on. Very good. Okay. Okay, so let's see the Gemara now on Yud Dalet Amud Aleph on 14a. How do I get this thing off your own? Okay, thank you. Okay, yeah, fine, yeah. Thank you very much. Okay, very good. Okay, Yud Dalet Amud Aleph. We were talking yesterday about the psukim from Achoto. The Gemara was trying to understand. We had three rabbis, three opinions: Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Yitzchak, and the Gemara was focusing using Rabbi Yitzchak's opinion yesterday and trying to understand how the other rabbis would address the source of Rabbi Yitzchak. If you recall, Rabbi Yitzchak said that the Torah repeats itself and says Achoto an extra time. So he says the extra time the Torah says Achoto teaches us that there is no lashes, no malkut by the case of someone violating a prohibition that carries karet. If it carries karet, there's no malkut in such case. That's what Rabbi Yitzchak said. And he used the pasuk of Achoto. Teach us that. Meaning, because the Torah goes out of its way to emphasize Achoto gets karet. You already told me Achoto gets karet, like everybody else. But by singling out Achoto, it's teaching us that all karet and nothing else. So then the Gemara want to know, what do the Rabbanan, Rabbi Yishmael, Rabbi Akiva, do with the pasuk of Achoto? So the Gemara said yesterday that they used the pasuk l'chalek to teach us that if a person went with one or more of those women, he would be subject to multiple chataot, multiple korban chatat. Even though, meaning because the Torah originally grouped them together. So since the Torah originally grouped them together, good morning, Mark. You able to hear us?
Yes.
Very good. Since the Gemara originally grouped them together, so you would have thought that if there was one lapse and he did not know that this was forbidden to be with this woman and that woman, these types of women, you would think he's chayiv one offering. Therefore, the pasuk singles out Achoto to teach you that for each and every one of those cases, he will be obligated a separate offering. That's what the Gemara says. The Chachamim use the Achoto. Good morning. And then the Gemara says, how does Rabbi Yitzchak know that? Where does Rabbi Yitzchak get that halacha from? That he's obligated a separate korban, a separate offering for each of those women. So the Gemara said he learns it out from the word El Isha Benida Tumata. The pasuk is El Isha Benida Tumata. It's an extra word El Isha. Could have said El Nida. That tells you that each and every woman of those there would be a separate korban for each one. So the Gemara says, Rabbanan, why don't they also use that to teach us that? What do they need the Achoto to teach us? They could just use the El Isha Benida Tumata, which singles out this woman, and therefore that tells us that this woman alone, you would be obligated a korban for each one. So the Gemara says, you're right. So what is Ela Kareit Achoto Lomali? That's what we're up to in the Gemara. Ela Kareit Achoto Lomali. You have it? The first word of the line is Lomali. In the art scroll, it's 14a 1. Kareit Achoto Lomali. That's what the Gemara wants to know. So the Gemara says, we need this pasuk Again, what's the Gemara's question? We have an extra pasuk. The Torah goes ahead and writes, it repeats itself, that it's kareit by one going with one sister. And why does the Torah repeat itself? You already told me when you listed it with the other group of women, right? So the Gemara says, you know what it's come to teach us? L'chayvo alachoto v'alachot aviv v'alachot imo. The Rabbanan are going to say that this pasuk is coming to tell us the following: that let's say a person went with his aunt. Right after he went with his aunt, he went with his sister. And after he had relation with his sister, he went with another sister, not his sister, his father's sister. And then after he went with his father's sister, he went with his mother's sister. So they're all in the sister, they're all connected with the sister. The relationship, the prohibition is about being with a woman, good morning, Mr. Batesh, that's prohibited because of some sister relationship. Either it's your sister, your father's sister, your mother's sister. So they're all, Nathan, good to see you, good morning. So, good morning, Mr. Haber. So that's the situation over here. So you might have thought that the fact that since they're all...
But saying, Rabbi, saying sister, okay, we know it's the aunt, but it doesn't include all the other 12 prohibitions. There's more that's not sister. There's many that are not sister.
Right, that is true. So,
and what are they doing with Isha? What they do with Isha?
So they're going to use They're going to use Isha to tell you, just like Rabbi Yitzchak said, that you don't need, if there's a lapse, one lapse, and he went with multiple of these women, you'll be obligated a separate offering for each one. The same way the Torah writes, El Isha Benida Tumata, the woman when she's, and it single outs the Nida as she has her own independent offering. If he sins with her, so too it will be all the women that were in that group would also be compared, will have the similar law as the Nida, because the Nida is part of that group. And we said, but if a person, for the Nida alone, he has to bring his own offering. And the same way he has to bring a need for the Nida alone, because El Isha Benida Tumata, he has to bring an offering if he did not know that he couldn't be with these women. Would have to bring also for all of the independent korban for each and every one of the women in that group, his aunt, the Nida, and the other women. But now the Gemara was satisfied to say that we use El Isha to teach us that if each and every woman in those categories of women that are forbidden to him, if he went ahead and he had a relationship with them, he slept with them, and then only after he slept with these multiple women, he found out, you know what? There are restrictions. You can't be with family, certain types of family members you can't be with. He didn't know. He's going to have to bring a korban for each and every of those types of women that he slept with, that were, one was his aunt, one was his anidah, one was other types of relationships. He's going to have to bring a korban for each and every one.
So what is the Torah talk about? You say if you find the
right.
We're talking about this.
Come on.
If I would do this, I would think like, okay, I have to get four times the card. So let's say if I do Tisha B'Av and I get all part of the card, my sister, but I'm still alive with my aunt and mother, whatever.
That each and every sin needs its own tshuva.
Right. So I would think it would be, it's specifically talking about card. I don't think it's talking about unintentionally.
Okay, but the Gemara is saying, right, there's a whole new dimension that we, like you said, it's not open in the pasuk, but there's a whole new dimension called karban, which we know from other psukim in the Torah, that if a person does certain sins that are heavy sins, let's say a sin that carries karet, if he does it intentionally, or let's say a guy is mechalel Shabbat, intentionally he gets death. But if he does it unintentionally, there's a korban. This is part of the, there's just like we learned about Galut. The guy kills someone intentionally, gets killed. The guy unintentionally goes to Galut. So this is part and parcel of these laws. So just to bring everybody up to date, the Gemara wants to understand what the Chachamim do with the pasuk of Achoto. That the Torah goes ahead and it repeats itself, and it tells us that there is karet if a person sleeps with one's sister. We already mentioned it earlier. Why do you have to repeat it? That's the Gemara's question. We're trying to understand the need for that pasuk. We already wrote it already. Why are you repeating yourself? Why is the Torah, Mr. Haber, is that clear? Why does the Torah have to write karet again? The Torah already listed karet by a sister together with the other women that are forbidden. And now the Torah writes karet again, separates the case of the woman and it says sister and says it again. Why? It's described that he went with his sister and it's karet. Previously the Torah said, don't go with this woman, don't go with this woman, don't go with that woman. And then at the end it says, if you go with these women, there's karet. And then it separates, it says, if a guy goes with his sister, it's karet. It listed her, it separated her from the group. They want to know why. Yes, Mr. Batesh.
So I understand intentionally, he gets karet. Is there a korban for that?
If he does it intentionally, there won't be a korban. Right. That's what the Gemara wanted, Mr. Asbury. That's what the Gemara wanted to say. That it teaches us that it writes the word achoto. The Gemara originally wanted to say that the reason why you wrote achoto is to teach us that he's obligated an offering for each and every one of those women. But then the Gemara says we don't need that because we can learn it from a different place. So we can learn that he's obligated a separate offering for each of those women from a different source. So the Gemara says, so why do we need back the Gemara? The Gemara already is now moving away from that point because the Gemara is satisfied that we already know each and every woman gets of these listing of forbidden women. If he goes ahead and he did not know he couldn't sleep with this family member, and that you have to bring an offering for each and every one. Separate.
One of them to bring a korban.
Correct.
Right now, what about the Rabbanan? What are they going to do with this tattoo? And they come, they say for Achoto.
No.
They say the same thing, but he's about Isha 01, and the Rabbanan said,
Right. The Gemara originally said that the Chachamim would learn it out from Achoto, the same law. Oh, so the Gemara, if we learn from Isha, so we don't need Achoto to teach us that. So what does Achoto teach us? So that's what the Gemara says. Achoto is actually back to the drawing board. Why do we need the word achoto? Separate pasuk.
Achoto so called achoto means karet. Achoto means lashes. Now achoto means yourself.
But it's not all. But it's not all teaching us from the. We're not focusing on. We're focusing on what the.
One said it could be mouth. That's why it said. One said it could be. It means
very good.
Now we're saying no, it means.
Very good. Rabbi Yitzchak said he has a reason why the Torah wrote achoto a second time. He says the reason why the Torah wrote achoto a second time is to teach you that it's only karet and no lashes. That's how he understands. The Torah is emphasizing karet. Why are you repeating karet? Karet, no lashes. But Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Yeshua will say there is lashes in such a case. So what did he do? Why did the Torah repeat it? So now the Gemara is going to say the following. What about if someone goes with his sister multiple times? He has a relation with her one night and the following night, and then he found out, I'm not allowed to sleep with my sister. It's forbidden. The Torah has a very serious prohibition. He brings one chata. If he found out, and then after he found out, did it again, then he has to bring a separate korban for each. But if there was one lapse, one not knowing, and he violated this sin. What? For a month, he brings one korban. Now, What's that? Yeah. We didn't, Mr. Ashley, no, Mr. Ashley knew this halacha, but yes, we did not say this before. Right, we were, right. Every woman is a separate korban. But if it's different women, even though, but here we're talking about same woman multiple times, one, if you only found out after the month, one korban. Yes.
He found out that he wasn't supposed to sleep. And then you said he slept with her again.
Right, then it's a new lapse. It's really a new, that will be a new offering, correct. He found that, then he forgot, or he didn't know, he didn't realize it was, he thought it was a different, what? No, but then he forgot again, Mr. Batish. Meaning, he didn't know that it was forbidden, and let's say, and then again, he had a lapse of mind, or but then he found out. But then he only be obligated one offering at the end of the month. But if, let's say, something happened, let's say I'll give the case. He found that after 2 weeks, he found that it's his sister, and it's forbidden. And then what happened was, he thought that then he had a relation with her, thinking that she was not his sister. He forgot, he knew it was his sister, but like the switch, like Rachel and Leah, that switch. He didn't, it was a different woman there. But our Gemara is not going to focus on that at this point. Our Gemara is focusing on the following. Even though the Gemara is thinking there's three different women here. There's a woman that's his aunt. There's a woman that's his sister. It's a sister, but it's also, there's his father's sister, there's his mother's sister, and it's his own sister. Those are three different types of women. His sister, his father's sister, his mother's sister. But they all have one thing in common. They all have to do with sisterhood. How's the lady sister of the shul doing? They all have to do with the brother, the sister. Right. But the prohibition here, that's true, Mr. Adams. Right, but now do we look at, the question is, do we look at these things? What would we say? The same way that if he would be with a sister, the same way if he would be with his sister multiple times, we say it's considered one lapse and it's considered like one prohibition and one korban. So the Gemara suggests that you might have thought that if they all have to do with sister, the prohibitions are about sisters, because whether it's your sister, your father's sister, it's your mother, something that's related to you, to your father, to your mother, you might have thought that you will not be obligated multiple offerings. You might have thought you'd be obligated one offering for all of those three women. The Gemara is going to knock it out. And this is what he was saying. There's three different women, and there's three different prohibitions. But the Gemara at this point was thinking that since they all have to do with the prohibitions are about sister, it's connected to your sister, the Torah forbade this because this is the sister of your mother, the sister of your father, or it's your sister. So maybe they're all considered one umbrella, one. And maybe therefore, if you go with these three women, you might have thought you would only have to bring one korban. Therefore, the Torah writes the word achoto, it separates it from the group of the other mother, sisters, father, sister, and says your own sister separately, to show you that for your own sister, you will have to bring a separate korban, even though you might go with your father's sister and your mother's. In addition, you'll have to bring a separate korban for each one. So that's what the Gemara suggests at this point. The Gemara says, the first word of the line is lamali, and the article is 14a1 on the right side, about 3 paragraphs from the bottom. The Gemara says, coming to teach us, to obligate him if he slept with his sister, and he also slept his father's sister. He slept with his mother's sister. He's obligated a separate offering from each and every one of those three women. So the Gemara shoots back. Shita. Isn't that obvious? Hare gufam muchlakim. They're three different people. Hare shemot muchlakim. There are three different prohibitions. Meaning this, what happens if the guy has three sisters? If a guy has three sisters, each sister is a separate person. We're not going to say you bring one car offering, he slept with three different sisters because he didn't know he can't sleep with a sister. The fact was that each one was a separate person, has to bring a separate offering chatas for each and every sister. So too, the Gemara says here, there are three different women. Even though the prohibitions are connected to sisterhood, because it's your sister, your father's mother's sister, they're different people, and each one is a separate prohibition. One's called Torah wrote, don't sleep with one sister. One, the Torah says, don't sleep with your father's sister. Torah says, don't sleep with your mother's sister. These are separate, right, Nathan? Separate prohibitions, each and every one. So therefore, they should carry with it a separate offering for each and every one. And we don't need a pasuk to teach me that. Something that's obvious, we don't need. We don't need, therefore, we're back to the drawing board. What is the word achoto, this extra word that that the Torah takes out her from the group? And it says if you sleep with one sister, you go ahead and you're subject to karet. We already know that already. You know what? If you want to send to the group, maybe there's someone in the Middle East, and maybe his timing is a little different, and he'll hear that we're on. So maybe that will help remind somebody. So the Gemara says. So the Gemara says, so the Gemara says, Ella, listen to this case. And everyone has to put on their thinking caps, as they say. El chayvo alachoto, to obligate somebody who slept with his achoto, his sister. Dr. David, you see the language? Achoto, shehi, that she is achot of him. The sister is also his father's sister. And it's also she achot imo. It's his mother's sister. This woman is his sister, his father's sister, and his mother's sister. It's one woman, but it's one woman. How can it be? Andy, get ready. Get ready for this case. Get ready for this case. By the way, I wrote it out. I wrote a whole. Yeah, I know. I need the whiteboard. I wrote a whole thing in my. So listen, the Gemara is going to ask the question. Okay, we got the. Let's see the case, then we'll figure it out. And the Gemara says, what type of case is talking about? The Gemara says, how could that happen? The Gemara asks what kind of case is this? Bereshia barashia, a wicked person, a son of a wicked person. But now, what does that mean? Now Rashi gives the case. Look at Rashi. Everyone, look at Rashi. Bereshia. Good morning, Yosef Tzadik. Yeah. Bereshia bat Bereshia. Good to see you. Bereshia bat Bereshia. Wicked, the son of a wicked. What does that mean? Look at everyone have the Rashi right hand corner. Rashi Bereshia bat Bereshia. Everyone have it in the. It's on the right side. I'm pointing to it right over here. Mr. Haber, Bereshia bat Bereshia. Okay, you have it in the Gemara. Listen to the case. Haba al imo, somebody who slept with his mother. Now that's a wicked person. Number one, big sin. Okay, he sleeps with his mother. V'holid shtei banot, and he gave birth to two daughters. He has two daughters. They gave birth. He slept twice with his mother. Well, they gave birth to twins. Okay, so once they gave birth to twin girls. He has two daughters from his mother. Now, those two daughters, they share with the father their brother and sister. Because those two daughters, because they share a mother. they share. If a guy goes with his mother and have children, so those children, the sister and his daughters are his sisters, and he's a father. He's a father, right? Right. Right, right. Right, but it's just beginning, Mr. Batesh, it's just beginning. Now, then the guy, this Rasha, this guy, the Chazar Uba Achasnehem, he slept with his daughter, which is also his sister. Okay, now, and what happened? Vaholid Ben, and they have a son. Okay, a son is born now from this union. Now, this son now, what's the relationship between the son and the daughter? So now the son and right now, this son. Okay, but now right now the twin. Right now, we're going to focus on the aunt. The aunt is going to be the one that we're going to get to now, right now. So again, let's get the case. There's a mother. There's a mother here. Right. That's the greatest of Rashi. So you have the mother, okay? The mother, then you have the son. The son's a bad boy who goes with his mother. The mother's also a bad woman. They go with each other. And they have two girls. Okay? And after he has the two daughters from his mother, he sleeps with one of those girls and they have a son. Right. Correct. Now, it's his grandson and it's also a son. All this without knowing. Correct. All this without knowing. All this without, he doesn't know. He knows that he's doing it willingly. No, but again, there won't be a korban. Okay. Now, but the only thing is, in order for him to bring a korban, he has to be some sort of, he knew what he was doing, but some sort of shogeg. We have to figure that out. But let's continue in the case. And then that son that was born, right? He went with one of his daughters, and he had a son. And now we're going to focus on the son. The son goes with his mother's sister, with his aunt, that one of the twins. So that now, what is the status of his mother, of the aunt? That's his mother's sister, but it's his father's sister, and it's also his mother's sister. This woman, now we're going to explain that.
But it's not his sister.
One second. It's not his sister.
So it's
He went to his aunt.
Mother's full sister's father's daughter. His father's daughter, so his father's sister.
It's
But
not
father's half sister because it's from the mother.
right.
It's his child. Yeah, it's his child.
So this child.
His child.
Yeah.
Child and his sister. I'll have a half a cup to go.
So let's look at this last aspect, this last part of the case. The son, right? We said the son went with his mother's sister, one of these two girls. Okay, one of these two girls, his mother. There was two girls that were born, and this guy went with his mother's sister. Now the mother's sister is also his sister, and the reason why it's his sister because of his father, because it's his sister. We'll see how it's his sister. I had it written now. 1 second. because they share somebody. Let's see the case again. Let's see it again. He goes with his mother's sister, which is also his sister. His mother's sister is his sister because they share. They share fathers, right? They share a father. Since they share a father, they're brother and sister. So therefore, now the Gemara says, because, so this one woman is his sister. It's his aunt, and his sister, and his aunt from his mother, and his aunt from his father. So now you would have thought that there's only that's what you want. But the fact that we're going to say he's going to bring 3 katov. You might have thought, that's what the Gemara says. You might have thought that since it's one person, and also the prohibitions are all connected to sisterhood, the same way, if it would be one woman, if it would be just his sister, and he would sleep with his sister multiple times, and then he found out he couldn't sleep with them, you would say that he's obligated to one offering. So now that it was one person, it was one person, and one person. But now we're talking about the same person. The son slept with his mother's sister, who happens to be his sister, happens to be his father's sister, and we say that we have to go ahead and bring 3 separate korbanot. That's why the Torah separates the word his sister from the group, to tell you that for this fact that someone's his sister alone, there'll be an offering for that, even though it's also his aunt, and it's also his mother's sister, his father's sister. And it's one person, and it's one act. So it's one person. So you might have said for one person, and they're all connected to sisterhood. Maybe there's one korban for that, and therefore the chidush is that he says the pasuk teaches that even though it's one person, and even though they all have to do with sister, and it's one act, but since the Torah separated this prohibition of sister from the other sister prohibitions of father, sister, and mother, sister, so the Torah is teaching you that a person is obligated a separate offering for each and every one of those prohibitions that were violated. The art scroll, by the way, if you look at the art scroll note, just so when you review it, in note 15 on the bottom, they did a nice little note where they spelled it A, B, C, D, or whatever, and you'll see if you look what he says. Says here, his mother says father, sister from a common mother, his own sister from a common father, right? So really, note D is the key note in that article. He says he would thereby violate 3 distinct look at D on page 14A2. 3 prohibitions. Since she is his mother's sister, his father's sister from a common mother, and his own sister from a common father. So that's just the case. When you want to review it and you want to work it out, just, if you didn't figure it out, let's go back to that Rashi. What's the case? A mamzer. The kids are mamzer. Yes. A mamzer. Very good. Yes. A mamzer, an illegitimate child, is obligated in all mitzvot. Someone was born illegitimate. The parents went ahead. Their mother went ahead and slept with. Their father slept with a married woman. You're asking a great question, and it is a fascinating halakha about a mamzer. The father went with a married woman, right, Mr. Haber? Crazy case. A man went with someone else's wife, and they bore a child in one area, and they had a child, right? And that child is a mamzer. So what does the Torah tell us about that child? By the way, a mamzer is not, people make a mistake, and they think by the way, he's like Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu's Mark, is your name Moshe? The Hebrew name Moshe or not? Mordechai. Because Moshe Rabbeinu served, also. When Yisro, okay, no, thank you very much. So that's, yes, you're right. Yes. Everybody here is the coffee. It's my coffee every day. Yes. So just the fact that the kid was born from a forbidden relationship. By the way, you should know, mamzer, everyone knows a mamzer from a married woman is a mamzer. Someone sleeps with a married woman and the child was born as an illegitimate child. The Torah said you can't marry, a Jew from birth can't marry that child, right? But a convert can marry that child. But what's halal is not a convert. They become mamzer. Halal is if a Kohen marries a divorcee, the child loses its kahuna. But what's interesting is also these women that carry kareh. Someone sleeps with his aunt and have a child that also is a mamzer. It's not just a married woman's child. All these women that these type of guy goes with his sister and have a child. The child is a mamzer. But I want to keep point. Dr. Nafil what's the status of such a child? A mamzer, a illegitimate child, is obligated in all the mitzvahs of the Torah. He has to be. Yeah, he has to be chatat. He has to be saying he brings the chatat. He's a mamzer. But you know what? He was born illegitimate, but that has nothing to do with his responsibility as a Jew. You're Jewish. You have to, and then the Gemara says so far that the mamzer could even reach a level of greater honor that you need to accord him than the Kohen Gadol. The Gemara says, mamzer Talmud Chacham kodem the Kohen Gadol Amoretz. That you have a Kohen Gadol, he's the highest priest, and he is unlearned, uneducated in Torah. Let's say his father was the priest and he became the priest, but he never went to yeshiva. And you taught him certain things. You taught him laws, how to perform, what he needs to know, what to do as a Kohen Gadol. But he's not learning Torah. He can't open a Gemara. He never learned Gemara. And then you have this mamzer, this illegitimate child, who's a Torah scholar. Who you have to give more honor to? The mamzer.
The Torah scholar.
The Torah scholar. He's not his fault. And he's obligated all the mitzvot. And they bring a pasuk, Yikarehi mipninim. It's more precious than mipninim, more than the one who goes the fnayim of him, more than the Kohen Gadol, the Torah. It's because he's a Torah scholar. You have to give more honor. I think a Torah scholar would, even though a guy does shuvah is on a high level, but I think the Torah scholar is more honor than the Baal Shuvah. Yes. A mamzer doesn't have to go through. He's Jewish. Mamzer doesn't need to go through any process. His father was Jewish. His mother was Jewish, but it was a forbidden union. The Torah says, and I presume that the Torah says, such an illicit, inappropriate relationship, that child, it could be that the reason why the Torah says he can't marry, it's not his fault. Could be the Torah wants people to have a great incentive not to do these type of sins, because you're going to mess up your child. Person knows that if they have this relationship, their child will be stuck. Will be limited pool of women to marry. So hopefully that will be that could be a reason. There could be other reasons. God hates zima. It says God hates sonei zima. He hates illicit, inappropriate relationships. It's immoralities, and that's what God hates. Yes. Right. Even for the same woman, right? And also even the same woman if it's multiple prohibitions. Okay. Now,
Rabbi,
yes.
it's I can't say the word conditional. What you just said, God hates zima, because we all know that to bring a baby, it's not that easy for many couples. Even though they're married and they lomdei Torah, like Rabbi Milubavitch, for example, he had no kids. They couldn't bury kids. And in the other end, if he hates zima, why giving to the bastard mother a child?
The answer, very good, Yosef. The answer is Hashem created a world and he gave people the ability to do great things and to blow themselves up also. God created a world. He gave us the keys to drive. He gives people have the ability to do crazy things. And that's the challenge of life, to make the right decisions.
But to do the crazy stuff, it's one thing, okay? But there is end result of the crazy stuff.
But God wants people to see these are the ramifications of their actions, and therefore, hopefully, if they see that, they will refrain from doing such things.
It's really hard to see because there's no.
I don't want people to be late for Shachrit. Hold on one second, you'll say it's not a mamzer. It's a big sin because she's not married. Number one, she's a nida, and it's karei, terrible sin. But it's not a mamzer. The child is not a mamzer.
Hey, Yaron, what I heard, the Sefer Torah fall down in Simchat Torah?
Yosef, you were asking a question. I'm sorry before.
Yeah, I'm saying, we're talking about the mamzer. It doesn't have an odd kind that everybody can see it. You know what I mean? It's like nobody can see it really.
Right. Yeah, but people. Let's say it's known. It's known. They know.
They know, but nobody know, because if they move to a different town, nobody know.
Hold on a second. Thank you. Yeah, looking forward.
The what?
Yeah, you're saying, but let's say they know. You want to Mr. Charles, that way. But they know.
Oh, what a kavod, what a kavod.
When are you gonna come visit?
I don't know.
Okay, we miss
they're
you.
here in the mountain. They're too good.
We miss you. We miss you.
I likewise. Trust me. I was thinking about like how much I wish to be in.
We wait for the Mashiach. Come.
Bye.
You're
Rabbi,
saying you'll say.
I saw the email from the Rabbi Fachi that in Simchat Torah, the Jope Torah. Yeah, now they're going to do Ta'anit on Sunday and Limud Torah on Sunday.
Wow. You'll take it from us. I'm going to be headed to the college. Yes, so you were saying you're safe. Yes.
No, it's okay. I don't want to take your time, Rabbi. Go ahead.
I'm headed to a shul now.
I know.
Okay.
All right. Good to see
Thank
you.
very much, Yosef Tzaddik. Have a great day.
Thank you, Rabbi. You too.